I got is listening to you on the campsites. This is campsites in hotels. Not to beat Stumpy up because he ain't here. He still rents all campsites, and I guess I don't understand why the city doesn't collect the tax. I mean, if we're going to get this fund built up and get some tourism going up, don't you think it should be fair across the board? I mean, campsites and hotels, if I'm right or wrong. I don't know.
I think that is
So you guys can throw stones
I think
in
that
it.
is a fair question, John. So.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. In other words, obviously, it wasn't in the forefront of anybody's thoughts because nobody was aware of it except for Kathy caught it. So now, if we're going to have this thing, I think it's a great benefit. But then, it's got to be across the board equitable.
So,
That's my own feelings. Well, I don't want
maybe you should explain to them. Can you explain to them what they get out of historic bluff country dues?
Well, we're members of that.
We're members, and right now, the reality is it's sort of just hanging there right today.
Roger, I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
That's good. And I think historical bluff country's probably got some issues right now, if I'm not mistaken. So we may not be talking that next year, but I don't think the question about that's the question. So much as just like where it kind of come from. We weren't aware of it at all. Okay, so now we're going to get it, but now let's make it equitable across the board so that everybody pays the same, and then use the money to do just what it's supposed to do, which is to bring people into town, which would be great for the Bestmore or the Windswept or for camping or hotels. The whole idea is to get people in town. 3% is plenty. That's half the state. That's a lot. But whatever.
Having a sign up on Interstate 90 is.
Yeah, something like that. We talked to the state about that. Those things
And
are pretty
you have the
expensive.
pricing on it. I mean, it's expensive, but you pool together, and it's expensive.
But I think we're releasing the land, I believe, from where you go. Is that right?
No, it's a different guy.
Who was it from?
Lyle Carmel.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. And then the windstorm came along and blew it down and never got it put back up.
We've been talking to the chamber for years about putting a billboard up there.
Yeah.
Again, we don't think this is a city's responsibility. We're trying to get the chamber to be proactive about this and to work with us. We can provide some funds. I guess the question I have is unclear in my mind, Kathy, is where does that campground money go?
This camp, our
Yeah,
city
ours.
campground? In the general fund,
In the general fund?
yeah.
I would say once the city starts to collect tax, you do become the steward of that tax money.
No, I agree. It's just now that's less money that we will have in the general fund. And,
But I don't think it's the tax money. I think what she said that they don't collect tax.
no, I understand.
You know, this was first started by Historic Bluff Country years ago.
Yes.
And so I think anybody who's part of the Historic Bluff Country is charging, I think it's 3% everywhere.
That's the maximum a city can.
Yeah. Isn't
And
that what?
that's pretty standard what every city does.
That's what I thought everybody.
And that's
was
probably
doing
some of the
3%.
confusion that we had when you came in, because we keep forgetting that you're not in the city of Houston. You're in the township. And so the assumption was that, well, you already own a hotel and you must already know about lodging tax. So if we didn't redline it, highlight it, I apologize. Certainly wasn't, didn't mean to leave it out of the discussion. It just never really entered into it.
Well, as the history goes on, and we were familiar with it. They did collect it, and it was money was funneled through Houston County, and a percentage was taken out for clerical, and the rest was sent to Lanesboro. And so, yes, we were familiar with it, and we were like, well, now what are we getting? We're not getting anything for this because we're down in Houston. So it was, we did have it, and it was removed.
It was removed because it went to another county.
Right.
The city,
It didn't help us
Houston
whatsoever.
County didn't want to mess with it.
Yep.
It didn't go through Historic Bluff Country?
It didn't. It doesn't now, I don't think, does it?
The
No,
money we collect,
Tricia
no.
doesn't.
It used to, though.
Yeah.
Right?
They, at one time, they wanted a certain percentage of what was collected plus the $1,500 in dues, and we didn't have it. There wasn't any, we would have had nothing. Would have been collecting it and giving it all to them. So we, at that point, we said, we're paying the $1,500 and that's it, you know. But this is an ordinance, so the 3% is by ordinance, and there is a section in here that says lodging shall not include the renting or leasing of campgrounds, camper or motorhome sites, including City of Rushford municipally owned campgrounds. We do collect sales tax on those, but it's, you know, in the definition of lodging, when this ordinance was written, it was specific to not include campers and
Right.
campgrounds.
But
and
at the
such.
time, that was the only
That was the only one.
campground in town too, it's the only game in town, so.
So, you know, if you consider making any changes, this would have to go through the whole ordinance process to make language changes and percentage changes